Hello everyone, to a quick overview of the refraction overiwe line 4 patch notes for the upcoming patch on 4th of July. You will unlock the new overiwe if you have cleared main story 648, which means basically have beaten the latest Kanto. The latest intervalo doesn't matter for this. The line 4 will stay open till the drop of line 5 next season, so you should have roughly 3 months time to clear content and get all the rewards from this. Also, another reminder to get all the loot from overiwe line 3 before the patch drops, otherwise the loot will be lost to the void, which would be a shame since overiwe loot is always pretty good. Also, just like last time, you need to spend a certain number of modules one time to unlock all the rewards of the overiwe that you then can claim, and it's once again 25 modules. You will have to save up. You don't need to spend the modules when you go in, so you can do the fights whenever, but once you want to claim the loot, you have to spend 25 modules once. And also, just as last time, any changes made to your identities and ego levels, uptide tiers and fast spending tiers after the starting the run will be reflected on your active team in the overiwe, which means you can right now start doing the overiwe even if you don't have fully leveled or uptide your characters yet. Go as far as you can right now, and then upgrade them later on, go back to the overiwe. You don't have to start over at 1, you can just jump in where you were at and have your units upgraded, and now can hopefully beat the boss you were stuck on. Yeah, Project 1 recommends uptide 4 level 45 IDs with Threadspin tier 4 egos. This might be a bit overkill, but this is the hardest content and everything helps. Now about line 4. This is the biggest difference, is that line 4 is comprised of 4 different sections, and those sections are all just one big stage with multiple waves. So instead of having like last overiwe 3 boss fights and then a rest stop, we have basically one stage where all the 3 boss fights are just waves and then a rest stop again. Below it you can see the rewards for each wave, and we also will save up the ego resources after a section, so once you've cleared the fight, the ego resources carry over. Rest stations will also work the same. Your identities will be fully healed and SP will be reset to 0, and you can exchange which IDs you're bringing and your whole loadout. You can then start from a previous cleared stage or section, and it will just be reverted back to the state where you're at, so it will revert back all the ego resources you had at the start of the stage, and all the sinner statuses and however they were equipped will be reverted to this. Since those stages are multi-wave fights, if you have to beat the stage, you will have to start over from the first wave, which hopefully won't get too frustrating if you get stuck on the third boss of a stage and then have to reattempt it over and over again, which means you would have to over and over again kill the first 2 bosses. At least I kinda had to when I was new last overiwe to attempt the mob a few times, so this could be frustrating. I hope you adjust the difficulty to make sense for this and you won't get stuck having to do the same fight over and over again. Now, another new thing with this overiwe is that we don't only select 6 active sinners for the fight, we also select backup sinners. And according to the order you select the sinners, they will all gain special buffs. Those can be widely different. We see like for number 1 you get just identity level up, We also have stuff like max speed or just offensive level up, and everyone that is a backup character gains like 20 SP for free once they get tagged in. Also brand new is that if a sinner gets defeated, we gain their ego resources corresponding to the sin affinities of their attack skills. Which means if someone dies, we gain 6 ego resources. We get 3 ego resources of the color of the first skill, 2 resources of the second skill, and 1 resource of the third skill. So if it would be like a Rev skill 1 means we gain 3 Rev ego resources. A Pride skill 2 that means we gain 2 Pride ego resources, and a Sloth skill 3 means we get in 1 Sloth ego resource from their death. There might be some interesting strategies where you early on in a fight would just want to sacrifice your sinners to quickly build up ego resources, or at the end of the fight, if you don't really mind your turn counts too much, could sacrifice some sinners for extra resource gain. We'll see how important it is, I guess, when the actual patch drops. And yeah, you are required to select 6 normal sinners and 6 backup sinners, otherwise you cannot enter the battle. They're now called chain battles. And when a deployed unit dies, they get just switched out with the backup unit. So someone in the active team dies, then the ID in the 7th slot will just get tagged in instead. And we will see that once they get tagged in, they will use their combat passive instead of their support passive, and someone that was deployed and gets knocked out will then, instead of using the combat passive, use their support passive. So it basically just means if you're backup or if you're dead, you are on the bench, like it used to be. And certain enemies in line 4 will also gain special effects on the deployment orders. I'm not sure how much we can affect the order, but what's very interesting of this picture is that we see we're gonna fight a whole N-Corp squad against our IDs, and they also gain ego resources like we do, which implies that they will also be able to use egos against us, which makes them a strong opponent. We also have to see if they can co-vote, which would be very spicy and makes thinking not optimal against them. I guess we will see how much they actually copy us. Moving on. Every fight in this way will be a focused encounter. So yeah, we always choose the clashes, which is great. This is hard content, so you want to be able to optimize your fight. Also, if somebody dies in battle, you won't get actually a lowered SP for the rest of the allies. I guess you kinda are intended to have deaths during the battles, and they don't want to punish you for that. Observation logs will be available if you have unlocked them outside. They just won't reflect, well, you won't see the new changes to the observation logs, since the enemies in the Vilvi might have different weaknesses for the sin affinity, so I guess slashing attacks, etc. Also, another big change is that the observation level does not give you a bonus to damage, so it doesn't matter if you have fully researched an enemy or not, you will always do the same amount of damage. So you don't have to worry about redoing fights or anything like that, just to be more optimal against the boss. Yeah, here we see the rewards. Looks like more or less the same as last Railway. We start off with EXP tickets and the Level Boost ticket 4, which means you can just level up an ID to 40, threats and shards, and then 30 pulls, and then a guaranteed 3-star of the season pull ticket and cosmetics for the last section. And just as last time, if you beat the overiwe, you will get a banner that shows the number of turns it took, and if you took less than 100 turns and beat it this season, you get a fancy one with animations to show off on your player profile how great you are. And yeah, the game will record up to 20 of your overiwe attempts and kills, so you can see how well the teams did on the sections. And that is more or less it. I think one thing that's interesting to talk about is that the meta might be widely different compared to before, especially for speedruns, since you cannot re-attempt individual fights, it's always sections. So you cannot do some RNG manipulation and restart the run over and over again till you have the optimal skill setup. I guess you just want to optimize against the first boss and then see that you have the resources for the last boss. I would also say that this environment kind of favors a poise team, since you will keep the poise on your IDs instead, compared to other status teams that will have to build up status on every individual enemy. I guess we'll see what the weaknesses of the enemies looks like. I mean, I would assume that Sinking and Tremor might be heavily favored. I mean, Tremor should be such a good boss killer. Sinking might be spicy for some fights, considering they might co-vote. But more or less, I mean, you can bring anything, you should be able to clear this. And that more or less is it for this. I hope you enjoyed the quick overview, and good luck when you attempt the overiwe yourself this Thursday. Bye bye.